We rather enjoyed the Viltrox EF to L mount adapter, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Of course, there's some limitations, but they've brought out a new version. Interestingly, we're using it right now on the Canon 17 to 55. I believe I'm at 55 now on the S5. I can already tell you it doesn't quite answer all the questions that we had about the previous model, but otherwise, is it worth it? We're going to have a little look at it up close. I'm going to test it thoroughly and then have a little chat about it. So let's crack on. Let's see what's inside this thing. It's going to be interesting, maybe, to see what the differences are. Because the last one was a success, basically. But this seems to have arrived pretty quickly, at least for me. We've got the instruction booklet. Pause that and shove your face up to the screen if you want to read what's what. Might even be available online as a PDF if you're that interested. Unit itself, it feels chunkier, and I think we can see why it feels chunkier. Let me just check. Oh, hello. Right, so there's a cap there and cap there. It does feel like a serious bit of kit. Oh, the last one, which I do have, so I do enjoy it. The last one didn't feel this serious, and I think it's obvious that this massive lock system here is the reason. So that has a nice tight fit there. So there we go. Once you fit that to your camera and lock that in, that's very tight. Now we do have a Type-C firmware port in there. It's all basically metal. Supports IS lens stabilization, metal contacts. You can transmit your EXIF information, your aperture, shutter, ISO, so that's very good. And of course electronic aperture control, so control your aperture via the camera. You can't do it via the adapter itself. Now this O to A switch, that was a bit of a question on the last one. It wasn't very clear, but now we know that O is original mode, so the camera will recognize this as a lens, and A is adapter mode. Camera will recognize it as an adapter. We'll see what difference that makes. Now there's a bit of a seal here, and it's listed as dust proof, basically because of this. It'll be this one here because there's nothing that end, basically down to this rubber sealing at the mount and kind of matching the logo there as well, for what it's worth. It weighs 158.9 grams, and that's basically all we need to say, really, looking at it up close. Decent little package physically, but let's give it some good thorough use so we can talk about if it's really worth it. You see how it's faring there? It's locking on, but it's not exactly lightning. Let's go through the range. Aperture range completely works. I was about to say it's not too bad, but you saw that go a bit funny there. Right, face tracking is on. It's caught the object there. It's caught the object. Exposure is a bit funny, but that's okay. Let's turn face tracking off. Let's use this one actually. Oh, I seem to have knocked the shutter speed. Not to worry. 1, 2, 3. It's pretty much the same deal, but kind of usable. You can lock on absolutely fine. Then you can go out wide. You're not going to do any creative transitions. You might find a scenario where it works fine. It's not too bad, that. Yeah, okie dokie. I've been using this Pro model for a while now, and from what I can see, the only real upgrade is that positive locking mount. I mean, positive locking mounts, I think, are not necessarily for everybody, so bear with me when I say it's not for me. You do have to line up the red dot or the white mark with your lens and then only rotate this to tighten it, and it is a lot tighter, but I didn't have a problem with the previous mount. Let us know if you need a positive locking mount, maybe for certain lenses. Educate us, it's all good. We're here to learn, we're here to share. So yeah, I think that's about the only upgrade I can see. Let's try it out with my EF 200, which did give me a little bit of grief getting it to work properly at first, but I think we got something out of it. If you watched my video about the previous version of this adapter, there was a lot of stills from it. Really enjoyed it, although clearly it was a bit of a slow experience and a bit awkward in an event, but the image quality is fantastic. Now the lens has no stabilization, but the camera does, and I believe it's working. It seems to be fine. I haven't got the steadiest of hands, but that seems absolutely fine. Let's go back to the H2. You see, you've got to just give it that little extra few milliseconds. That was quite slow, just to lock in properly. Let's see if we can get anything down here. See, it takes a little bit just to get it, but once you've got it, video mode, H2, there's still that little bit of a second or so where you've got to just wait for it to finish locking on. Let's see if we can make this smaller. Stabilization seems to be working fine. Alas, the lens doesn't have it. This was a problem I had with my T4. I got zero stabilization at all, which really limits this lens for me. Contrast base is proving a bit of a tricky one, but yeah, once you get it, finally, there we go, then you've got it. This positive locking, let's say, issue is across the board. Metabones have the same problems, so you know, I'm not knocking the Viltrox adapter because of that. It's just not my thing personally, but it is very secure, it's very well built, and I think for those of you that need it, it'll be a good buy. Let's have a look at one last set of these random autofocus clips, and of course we'll put the lens at the bottom as we did before so you can see what I'm using. Now you can see it is a bit quicker than the 50 to 1.8. It's moving around okay, still a little bit of a hunt. Still only AFS. If I flick to AFC on my camera, nothing happens. It stays in AFS. Of course, manual also works. Let's get face tracking off. There we go. I mean, it's not lightning, but it does the job. A bit of a light coming over onto the spilling over. Tiny little hunt, but does the job absolutely fine, I'd say. It's locking on nicely to the face, which is fine if the face is not moving. Oh, that's as we saw in the intro. Not ideal. I mean, it hunts, but it's quite quick, he said, as it decided to not be quite quick. Considering the price of this lens and the colours and sharpness in a proper scene, could be absolutely fine. So let's record a bit of video now with this lens, EFS 17 to 55. Turn face tracking off just so you can get a little idea. There's a hunt, it's a quick hunt and snap, but it gets it. So you're going to need to be shooting static video really, which you could do manually technically, but if you're a bit
in poor health with your eyes, it could help you. And the lens is actually a fantastic little bargain. Let's go to the 17 so you can see a nice wide shot.
Is she worth it then? Well, IBIS works fine, face detection, EXIF information is transferred across. You can't argue with that at all. Image quality, of course, is not affected as this is purely, you know, glass free. But yeah, it's all about that positive locking mount, as we said. Me personally, I'm happy with the non-pro version. There they are side by side. This non-pro version has the lens support, which I like. It's got the standard mount, which is perfectly fine for me. It's all down to what you need regarding that mount, frankly. So yeah, of course, this one here, the previous model, is a little bit cheaper than this one here, the new model. You know, I think, what is it? It's on your screen, but about £20, £30 difference more. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Fair play. But can you get AFC, please? That would just be absolutely spot on. And I might even forgive the positive lock-in mount if it comes with AFC. Let us know in the comments below how you get on with these adapters. Maybe you've got a particular preference, a lens that we really need to try out. I'm into my bargain lenses. That EF 200 was just brilliant, and the other lenses obviously were pretty cheap, for want of a better word, but quality. Yeah, anyway, before we ramble on any further, I'm going to sign off and wait for your comments. Could be waiting a while because I've got to edit this and publish. Yeah, anyway.